Welcome to the Corporate to Coach podcast. I'm Pamela, a former corporate professional turned certified life and business coach and mentor. If you're ready to sign clients, grow your soul-led coaching business, and shed the employee identity so you can step fully into business ownership, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Corporate to Coach podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I bring Prue Sulicich. Prue is a master certified coach who supports women to cut through the noise, trust themselves, and build lives they're genuinely proud of. Through her simple and grounded approach, she helps clients move out of overthinking and into clear, consistent action. And she is also the founder and creator of the Finishers Club, a business called Order, and she's a mum of 3. And these aren't just the first businesses she's ran. I think you've ran, was it 3 businesses in total before this, before these 2 that you're actively running?
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah, 3 before that.
Incredible. And then prior to that, a 15-year career, and now really entrepreneur and mum and incredible woman all around. So I'm so happy
Thank
to have
you.
you here.
Good.
So
I've seen you interviewing everybody else, so it's my turn.
it is your turn. Claim it. So we are here. We're going to talk about so many things today, but one of the things that I'm really excited to talk to you about is goals and achieving your goals and becoming what you call a finisher. Will you tell me what it is to be a finisher?
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? We finish, when you become a finisher, you finish the things that you say you're going to do. And in the Finishers Club, it is not just about business goals, but also just things for yourself, you know, whether you want to go to the gym, go for a walk every day, write a book or learn a new skill. We have all these things that we promise ourselves that we're going to do in life to make it more joyful usually. And then what happens is so-called life gets in the way of enjoying your life. And so you put all the things that would bring you joy to the side so you can do all the boring, tedious, monotonous stuff every day, all day, you know, and repeat again. And you just end up living a life that you're not really excited about. So the Finishers Club and becoming a finisher is all about thinking about the things that are really important to you, saying, yes, I'm going to do that, and figuring out how you can show up for yourself day in, day out to get those things done. And yeah, that's what we do, and that's how we become a finisher.
I love it so much. And it's one of the philosophies that I bang on about all the time with my clients, like doing what you say you will and seeing it through to which is a slightly different dynamic. There's doing what you say you will, but then when it comes to having a goal, it's like seeing it through to the end. And I think it's really exciting to set goals. If I ever actually sit down, I probably do it like once a year. And then every quarter, I sit down and I kind of review and reflect on what I actually want and reconnect to those goals. But I'll be honest, it's normally business goals. So in terms of goal setting, like how frequently should that be happening? When are people setting goals, and what will it take to actually become the person who finishes them?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's 2 people in the world. There's people that love goals and always setting goals, whether they achieve them or not. And there's the other people that are like, what? I'm meant to have goals. So there's those 2 types of people. And there is, my philosophy on anything is that there's no right way to do anything. It's only the right way that you want to do it and that you show up for. So setting goals is definitely a personal project for yourself. So if you like to set goals at the start of the year and then review them, and it is something that I have taught myself to do, because in all honesty, like I never set any goals up until only in the last since having my coaching business. So since 2019, had I set goals. Even at the beginning of that, I wasn't even setting goals. But what I found was when you don't set goals and have clear direction, you have no idea where you're going. And the fun that started, you know, and the excitement that started you towards something doesn't have any end destination, and then you get confused about if you've achieved anything or not, and so people generally give up. So setting goals is very personal. You choose when that looks like. It could be a regular Tuesday and you're like, actually, I'm going to set some goals for the next week. And that works for you. Some people love to set big goals. Inside the Finishers Club, we focus on like small goals, because I also think that if somebody's never set and achieved a goal and can tell me exactly how they've achieved the goal, then they don't really they haven't mastered goal setting. And so inside the Finishers Club, we set small goals that last 4 to 6 weeks, and we build proof with ourselves that we can show up and get stuff done in the way that we said we would do. And that comes with a whole lot of emotional stuff that comes up because we have all the excuses in the world why we don't want to do things. And then we finish a 4 to 6 week goal, and then we're like, oh, actually, I did it this way. This is what worked. Maybe I can do that again. So you can set goals however you like, and I don't think there's a right way. It's just something that has to align for you. So, like I said, I set goals at the beginning of every year. I always create myself a beautiful vision board like on Canva, and I've got a couple of templates actually that people can have because I love it, and I put them on my iPad screen, and I visit, just get to see my goals visually all the time. I'm like, and it reminds you that you've got to take some action to do goals.
Yeah, well, it's kind of blowing my mind. So as you say this, I'm now like thinking, how many times I'm just saying out loud here, like thinking out loud here. I've been clear about what I want. And like you say, like put it on a vision board, or I know like loosely in my brain, like I want to get somewhere, achieve something in my business, or sign the next client, or get the next launch out, or something like that. But am I thinking of it as a goal with a defined end date? Is that what you would say defines a goal? Like when it's got an end date? So it's taking it from just this
For
loose
sure.
idea of something that you want into something you're committing to saying you're going to achieve within a designated time frame.
Yeah, I actually break it down even better than that by saying you need to have a finish line. So it's great to know what you want to achieve and have a date on it. But as we know, things get in the way of dates, and goals are there to be achieved because you want to achieve them. Like there's something important about that goal. And so the date, yes, it's great to have a date on it, but it doesn't really matter at the same time. The date, we always put a date on it, but if the date lapses, you still need to go after it. And so what's more important is that finish line. So
Right.
just give you a super easy example of, just going to use weight loss because it's always the one that is so easy. If you want to, you're like, I just want to feel better and fit in my clothes and, just walk into a shop and buy clothes off the shelf. I've helped a lot of women do that. And so they have that feeling of how they want to feel and what their life looks like, but it's like, okay, but what does it actually look like? Like the finish line to you on this goal, what does it look like? And they're like, I have no idea. So it's like, okay, but the number on the scale might be the finish line. It's like, okay, once I get down to 70 kilos, that's the finish line. As soon as I see and I step on the scales and the scale says 70 kgs, that's when I know I've crossed the finish line of my goal. And
Got
so
you.
it's
Oh my
something
God.
really
Okay.
easily defined. Yeah.
That has blown my mind because I've until you said that, I have totally been the person who would set a goal with a desired date of achievement. And then I've always understood the work is, who are you going to be if you haven't achieved it by the date? And can you keep going? But if I just flip it completely and just release attachments, I think there is so much value in a date because it
Yes,
stops you from meandering, right? I see this a lot with
it does.
coaches who say to me, I want to get to I don't know, consistent 10K months or consistent 5K months, even whatever number, it doesn't really matter. But it's like, okay, and they believe they'll get there. They know it's possible, but can you do that in the next 3 months? Could you start having that consistency within a 3-month time frame? Or I just want to sign my next client. It's like, yeah, amazing. Can you do that in a week? And the time frame really shows you how much belief you have in your ability to achieve it, I think. So there's value in it, but I also see that
Yes.
people, if they don't achieve it by that date, they're like, well, I didn't do it. So it's then finding the resilience to keep going. But your shift is like, no, it's not about the date. It's about the
Yes.
finish line. Fucking genius, Prue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. And I've made all this for myself because I, like I said, was never somebody that set a goal or actively achieved a goal. Like it wasn't really part of my personality, I want to say. Like it just wasn't me. I'm very much driven by feelings. And so being very structured and setting goals is like, as if I'm going to do that, seems like it's going to kill all the joy out of everything. But in actual fact, it does the opposite of that. It like heightens the joy because you're like, oh, actually, I've got to focus. I can focus on things and I can look at things and say, is that working? And, why isn't it working? And what could I do differently if I was going to do something differently? And yeah, so another thing that's important too is, and I teach this in the Finishers Club, is to have a scorecard. So whatever goal it is, you have a scorecard, and you create that in like from the beginning. And so the example is you and I are in a mastermind together in the 200K mastermind. And my scorecard in that was to listen to every coaching call, to take value from it, do intentional thought creation. And I got I think I was like 88% or something in that goal. So I like putting percentages on things because it makes it nice and clear. And so at the end of that 6-month mastermind, I looked at my scorecard and was like, okay, what's the finish line for me? It was like to attend all the calls, take value from everything, and show up in the best of my ability. And when I looked at the scorecard, I was ticking off all the things that I had to do week in, week out over that 6 months. It was actually sort of 9 months, actually. And I achieved 88% of it. And I'm like, well, that was a win for me. Like 88%, like you get to choose what a win is for you. I can guarantee you 100% is usually going to push you into perfectionist territory and it's never going to work out well. So always anything above 80% for me is great when achieving a goal and looking at your scorecard along the way. It just keeps you aligned with your goal, especially over like a 6 or 9 month period. That's a long time. It's hard to remember back at did I attend every class or did I take value from that? And so if you're doing it and checking in every week with it and ticking off your scorecard that you created for yourself for this particular goal, it just gives you so much clarity.
My brain is like popping off right now. This is so valuable. Thank you for sharing. And I remember you at the end of the mastermind that we were, so for context, everyone, we were in a mastermind together called 200K. And it's, you have to be of a certain revenue threshold to get in there. And it's about achieving 200K annually. And you shared your statistics at the end. And I remember even the coach was blown away that you did this. So this is like a really unique approach to goal setting and it freaking works. It's so powerful. And your point about like 80% plus being really good, for some reason my brain offered me that. I remember back at university, whenever I got a first, it was in one of my modules. I wasn't first overall. I think I was 2-1 overall, but I got a first in a couple of my modules. But that isn't 100%. That was 80% plus, which is a first in a degree. So that is like,
exactly.
That's a good measurement of success, I think. And I was happy with my 2-1 overall. And I think that had to be maybe 70% or plus in terms of score rating. And 2-1 gets you pretty far. You get a pretty good career and then you leave it and become a business owner.
And, just talking about marks, like I'm going to highlight something for everybody. This is just a story, like a personal story, is just happened in the last couple of weeks. So I have a 15-year-old daughter. Actually, she just turned 16 on Sunday. So she's 16 and she had a couple of years doing distance education, just because she just needed a break from school. And she went back to school and she had a goal. So like obviously I'm rubbing off on her. And she was like, Mum, I'm setting a goal. I'm like, oh, what's your goal? She's like, I want to get all A's. And I honestly thought she meant for the year. But no, she was aiming for all A's for the term that she'd come back. And I was like, do you think that's a little bit, pushing the boundaries a bit because you've been out of school? She's a great student, but She's like, no, I think I can do it. I think I can get all A's. I was like, okay. Well, and so we went through the whole thing. It's like, what do you think you need to do to get those? What does that look like on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis, like in school? And so she did all the things that I would do with like a coaching client. And so the term's finished. And on Sunday, she was waiting. She's had 5 classes. Sunday, she was waiting for her last one to drop, and she got all A's. And I was like,
Are you
that's
serious?
incredible. Yeah. And so
Holy
it's just the
shit.
dedication and the practice and the
Oh, that makes
journey
me
of
emotional.
like,
I'm like losing my shit.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, it was just incredible, like watching her, like, such young, impressionable minds, which is great. And it's like, oh, this
Yes.
is easy. This is what I need to do. This is what the finish line looks like. It looks like all A's on my report card. And we problem solved a lot of the stuff in advance, and then she got all A's. So yeah, very cool.
Well done. Well done to you. And well done to her.
Yeah.
That is
Like I didn't do
amazing.
any of the
Oh my
work.
God.
Eloise she did all the work.
She had to do it, right? She
But
did
that's just
it.
a
She had the
testament to
vision.
how, like, the process.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The
sorry.
process works, especially when you can do it through,
Yes.
like you could do, if a teen can do it, we can do it. I
Yeah.
actually watched this incredible
Yeah.
training yesterday, and she was sharing how the resilience we have as children and the way that we just keep freaking going. Like she was giving the example of like learning how to walk. If we had the kind of resilience we have as adults when we were learning how to walk, we probably would never walk because we would be like, oh,
Never.
this is too hard. Why am I not there yet? Why isn't this
Exactly.
happening? And
Yeah.
with babies, obviously, it's not so much goal setting. It is just you keep going until it's done. But there is something in that too. Like you say, the finish line is when you walk.
Yeah.
And then even then, they tend to run before they can walk anyway, right? And it's
Yeah.
we're always evolving into those next steps.
Yeah,
Figuratively and
exactly. And
literally in
why do
this
they want to
example.
walk? Because it's going to be fun and they're going to be able to, get to the next stage, and they're excited to do that. And that's the piece most people keep missing, is like the joy and the fun of it. Everyone's making goal setting so damn serious, and it's like it doesn't have to be so serious. I know I was completely against goal setting because it just felt too corporate. And it's like something that, people in like big corporate careers would do. And like, I don't know, I always just thought of it like that. And to me, I was like, that sounds so boring. Never really identified myself as somebody like that. Like even you saying at the beginning, you're a master coach. I'm like, wow, I really don't identify with labels. I really don't, with that sort of stuff. And so the coaching and the corporate idea of goal setting was something that turned me off. And I just want to teach everybody it's not about that. It's about having fun in your life. Like the very first thing I get everybody to do in the Finishers Club is to create their accomplishment archive. And it is a list that you just think back on your life and go, what did you do that you were like so proud of yourself and like you loved? Like what were moments in your life that you loved and you just felt like a huge like bit of emotion that's like positive, and write it down. So it can be things like when your babies were born, watching that beautiful sunset after you climbed up the hill. For me, it was things like taking my perfect photograph of a wedge-tailed eagle, like laying in the grass and watching that wedge-tailed eagle for a couple of hours and getting like the perfect shot. Like that to me is living. But yeah, when you put it into a packet of like, that's a goal that I want to achieve, it's like, okay, how can I make this fun? Like, what can I do to remember how much joy that brings me and go after those things? So, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
That is so beautiful. And yeah, for context, Prue is a hobbyist photographer in your own time as well.
Like one of my goals on my vision board is to take photos every month, like with my nice camera, not just my iPhone. And I've bought myself a book that I can print it out and stick it in and just like write the story about why I love this photo for the month of January. And yeah, I've been like doing that. I haven't actually printed out the photos yet, but I've been doing the photos every month, like taking my camera out. And literally every time I pick up my camera, which is something I love to do, I just feel so much peace, so much joy. And it's like, why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I have a goal around this when it brings me so much and it doesn't cost me anything except my time? And
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
just do the things that you love.
Yeah. Okay. So your example has reminded me of a goal that I have that I didn't even realize I had until you said this. So for those of you who don't know, I have Peruvian heritage, and I have this Peruvian cookbook that my mum bought me, and it is the most beautiful cookbook in the world. It's huge, not very thick, but it's just a large pages, beautiful images.
Yeah.
And I've gone through it, but I've got my favorite Peruvian dishes that I like to eat. And I've just recently found a chili store in my city that sells the type of chilies I need to cook these foods. But my sister-in-law was here over New Year and she was going through the cookbook. She's not Peruvian and she's never seen, they don't have a Peruvian restaurant in the city. She was like, oh my God, I need this food. Like, this needs to be done. And so me and my husband said, we'll cook a new Peruvian dish every month this year.
So
And
good.
I have done it, but technically we did January. February disappeared. In my defense, it's a short month. But then we've done 2 new dishes in March. And now we're in April. Oh my God, we're
That's
2 weeks
good.
into April. And the month is nearly done. So, or halfway
Yeah.
through. So I feel
Yeah.
like this
So
is
pick
something
that
I could
dish.
set a goal around with a scorecard and a
Yeah,
way
it
to
is.
capture the memory. Maybe I can do on my private Instagram, I could do a highlight reel of the dishes that I
Hmm.
create. Perhaps. Is that an
Absolutely.
example of
Yeah,
a good scorecard?
absolutely. You could. And then the scorecard is there's 12 images in that Instagram reel for the Peruvian dishes that you've made. And that's how you know it's done.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh
Perfect.
my God, I'm so
Yeah.
excited now. I mean, I'm excited when I
Yeah.
remember, but it's easy to
Yes.
forget. But that's like a once,
Absolutely.
only has to happen once a month with a little bit of planning. So that's like a low key hobbyist goal, but it works for personal goals.
Mhm.
You mentioned weight loss and it works in business, right? Like what would be business ways that
Yeah.
you've used this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Literally anything. You could, decide that you wanted to, for coaches in particular, run a webinar over the next 6 weeks, just do one webinar. Maybe it's set up a funnel. Maybe it's to start and record, your own podcast, and have 3 episodes completed. Might be to grow your email list, to a certain number of people. If you've got one-on-one coaching clients that you're wanting to invite in, it's like, I'm going to, by this date, have 3 one-on-one coaching clients. And yeah, so you can choose anything. And I think when someone steps into goal setting, the first thing that they need to do is pick a small goal, because
Hmm.
what it does, this is in my opinion, as somebody that never set goals before and going in, I had all these big, huge, massive goals of make $100,000 and, have 5,000 people on my email list and all that sort of stuff. And it was great, but it felt so overwhelming to me. And when you didn't get there, because that's a long-term goal, most people aren't making $100,000 in their coaching business for, a number of years, even though social media tends to tell you that the other one, the opposite of that. You have to be very realistic, I think, in life. And so to set a goal for $100,000 a year, yeah, everybody on Instagram makes it seem so easy. But for you, it's maybe you just need to sign your first 3 clients. Maybe that's a $10,000 paycheck for you. So maybe you just go for your first $10,000 first and start there, and even break it down even more. One client, I'm just going to sign 1 client in the next 4 weeks. And then when you show up and do the small goals and you achieve it, and even if you don't achieve it to start with, it's you figure out what wasn't working and you decide, okay, maybe I need to pivot and do it this way instead. When you achieve that goal though, you build proof with yourself, and I'm all about proof. Proof makes you proud. You're I can do that. You had this moment just before our call. You're I signed 2 clients, and I'm See, proof. And you feel proud of yourself. You feel like, this can work. Like you have that relief of like, okay, this can work. And so from
Mm,
that energy, like, so as much as you can believe it before you see it, which I am like, I like that mentality as well, that you can really believe something without having a lot of tangible proof. Our logical brain likes tangible proof. It's like, come on, babe, show me the proof.
yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I'm just gonna post this thing and get one client. Okay, I did that. Great. It's like, okay, what else is possible? I'm going to post again. I'm going to get another client, and I'll like work towards that. And then you get that, and you're like, more proof. And it's like, I call it putting proof in the proof jar. I actually literally have a free course called that.
Oh,
It's like
amazing.
first step.
Can we put the link
It's
in the
called
show
first
notes?
step to success. Absolutely. And
Perfect.
it's so basic, but it's just such a great builder of proof and pride in yourself and your work, but in yourself mainly. And it starts stepping you into a person that can finish things. It's like, I said I was going to do this. I did it. I can do these things. And so you have
Yes.
like tangible proof of the things that you can do. So starting small when you're in business, I believe is great. Have big goals in your mind, but only really practice the small ones, and it'll step by step get you there. It's got me to where I am today for sure. And I know, even you, I'm sure you've had goals and you've done it. Like you've just done these last 2 goals really quickly, which is cool. And
Yeah.
so building proof and with using small goals is the way forward in business, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And proof makes you proud. You know what? You have made me realize that there is something that I do that really serves me in business. And it's kind of similar to this. I wonder if I'm so intrigued if it's a really similar structure. But I
Yeah.
thought about I did this about 6 months ago, maybe it was about 9 months ago. And I kind of started auditing myself. I created like a scorecard, but in my mind, I called it a self audit every single day.
Yeah.
And what I do is I think about how I will feel when I achieve the goal. And at the time it was either a certain number of clients or a certain revenue with clients. I can't remember which it was, but the outcome was when I achieve it, I knew I would feel super proud.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other feeling? Pride. And I think it was an action. It was like, I knew I needed to sell every day. I think it was. Yeah, that was it. It was an emotion and an action. And it was feel proud and sell every day. And
Yeah.
I did a simple audit every day where it was like,
Yeah.
did I or did I not? It was a yes, no thing. It was just so
Yeah.
binary. It was clear if I did it or not. And so you can show up and sell and get visible. And sometimes your heart's not always in it. So it wasn't a proud thing. But then sometimes I would be
Mm-hmm.
like on one and I'm like showing up and I'm feeling the
Yeah.
energy and I've created
Yeah.
like a few pieces and I've been able to schedule a few days in advance. And I know that that's like got me covered and I hold that energy for a while. And I did achieve the outcome. So I guess that's kind of a scorecard, right? That's a scorecard of like how
Absolutely.
I want my goals to feel and
Yeah.
what action steps am I going to take to know what that looks like.
Yeah, yeah, and ticking them off. And some, like you said, some days you tick them off and other days you didn't, but then it's still good. It keeps you moving forward. And then that's when the whole mentality of like even if I fell off the wagon, on day
Right.
3, it's like, I can still start again. I can still be in day 4 and still do the things. Because, inside the
Yes.
Finishers Club, we do what I call the daily planner. And we keep things so basic in the Finishers Club because I don't want to overwhelm people with any technology or whatever. So it was literally a printout of a daily planner. You can use your calendar if you've got one, but you literally write it on. You like, take the action. Like, this is one action I'm taking today. And then you tick it off. And then you look at your scorecard for the week and you're like, cool. I did like 80%. And it's like 80% and above. Like that's what we're going for. So it's like, great. So I didn't do
Yeah.
it Wednesday, but I did it every other day. And that's 80%. Perfect. And so you just like
Yeah.
calms your nervous system down when you have some data and statistics as well to show you that you're not failing at your goal just because you missed one day. Because so many people do that. They're like, oh my God, I didn't reach that deadline. And I didn't do the things I said I was going to do. I failed. And that is like a killer of all dreams and goals when you really beat yourself up in failure, because it's like, no, did you really? Like, most people didn't fail. They just didn't get the result that they wanted, but that's okay. Like, we can figure something out to get you to the result if it didn't work the first time. But yes, I've been doing
Yes.
this for 15 years, I suppose, in business for all these years. And it's like, I wouldn't be here this long if I didn't love what I was doing, and like having heaps of failure and then still showing up to do it anyway.
That is, I think, the absolute magic of it. Like, staying connected to the joy and the love of what we're doing and what we're here to create. Even if your goals aren't business focused, they're personal focused. Like, we have these goals for a reason. We do them
Yeah.
because we're creating them, we're choosing them because we want them, we desire them, we can find love in the process of creating them. And why would we be like, why are we so? I mean, we know why, it's the human condition, but it is kind of fascinating that we get so tough on ourselves for something that we started from a place of like possibility and joy and expansion. It is such a shame that we do that to ourselves. I think there's a
Yeah,
compassion piece there
it
as well,
is. I
isn't there?
know.
Like, we wouldn't
I
do that
find it
to
so
somebody.
sad. Ah, there is. Yeah, yeah. Like, I do find it really sad when I see people not starting their business goals and not following through with them because they're too hard on themselves. And yeah, like, as a woman in small business, like, my businesses are, totally transparent here, not big massive businesses. Like, they've never pulled in millions of dollars or anything, but they've created a life for me that when I look back on my life, like, I have absolutely loved, like, every moment, even all the hard stuff. Um, I've loved my life. So it makes me really sad when I see women super passionate about something like a small business that they want to create, even if it's on the side. And they're like, oh God, I couldn't do that. What happens if I fail? I'm like, you're going to fail. It's totally fine. But it's all about that process, and figuring out why you started in the first place, for sure, which is, yeah, when you know what really lights you up in life, like, you go after things, which, everyone listening to this podcast as a coach that is in business, um, and if you haven't got any personal goals, I would check that, honestly. I'd be like, you don't have any personal goals? Like, why not? Like, why don't you have any personal goals? Like, actually, 3/4 of my goals are personal goals on my vision board. Like, I've got a couple of business goals on there, I think, out of the 9 that I've got, but all the rest are personal. Like, I've got one goal that is learn to play a 9-hole round of golf. Have never played golf in my life. I'm
Yeah.
failing that goal miserably because I have not even I've done one session. So that's not working well. And I know why it's not working well, because I didn't create a finish line. I didn't create a scorecard, and I have no way to measure it. So I'm not actually doing any work to measure it. But most of my goals on there are personal goals, like 12 date nights with my husband every year. Spend one-on-one time with the kids each month. To take these photos. I can't even remember the other ones, but yeah, there's most of them are personal. So if you're a person in business and you don't have any personal goals, I think you need to maybe have a look at that, because life is more than just business. And if you make business your everything, I feel like that can be really hard road. So you have to, like, make sure you bring life in as well.
That's making me reflect, actually. I mean, I mentioned the Peruvian food thing, but personal goals. When you described the golf thing, to me, it was like, oh, that's a good bucket list item. Like, something to do once in your
Yeah.
lifetime. Like, get around a 9 in and with a handicap that's like
Yeah.
hopefully less than 150 or something. I'm now wondering, like, what personal goal do you, because I have been so hell-bent focused on business for the last 6 years. In saying that, though, goals have a rise. Like, look, I had to arrange a wedding. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
time of my life, best day ever, perfect day, whatever, all that. But that was a goal. That was like, get to the finish line of like the wedding day.
For
And
sure.
I went through a fitness thing. My fitness goal for my wedding wasn't a weight loss goal. Interestingly, it was feel the best I'd ever felt on my wedding day physically. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the markers of success of that goal was not to lose weight, because I have to make sure I maintain my weight. But I
Hmm.
lost quite a few inches around my waist and built a hell of a lot of strength. So I changed my body composition of fat to muscle ratio.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was a big goal of mine. And ironically, I've achieved it, and then I didn't stop working out. So
Yeah.
I I I haven't maintained the body composition as closely, because I was on a very, like, nutritionally, I was very, very strict. But
Yes.
my fitness and strength and stamina and metabolism and everything, like, fitness related, has actually
Yeah.
maintained as a result of that goal, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was a goal without realizing, but it's like a big, when it's something like a wedding, I think there's so much societal pressure, expectation.
Mm.
It's so
Mm-hmm.
important because it matters so much that
Yes.
it wasn't really, for me, it was something I enjoy anyway, luckily. So I'm already relatively
Yeah.
healthy, already quite enjoy working out, but it was easy to
Yeah.
achieve that. When I think about, I say easy, it was hard, but it was easy
Yeah.
to
Hard
commit
work
to it
still.
every time it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I think about any other goal, I don't know if I've ever really had any personal goals other than that. I'm like really, really having to struggle to find something that I can say I've achieved that was a
Mm-hmm.
personal goal. It's kind of blowing my
Yeah.
mind a
There
little
you go.
bit.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. So I said to you before this call how I talk to people about having personal goals, and they're like, "Oh no, I've only got business goals."
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can see,
Can relate.
the connect. Like when I'm like, goals are boring because they're only corporate type of things. Like it makes sense because there's so much proof in the world that that's what it is, right? So, but yeah, to me, yeah, I'm just somebody that is all about living that life that I love. I want to look back when I'm 100, when I'm on my deathbed and be like, yes, I did all the things that I loved in those moments. And yes, I most probably have failed at a lot as well, but at least I gave it a damn try and just had a go. And it wasn't just about business and it wasn't about money. I've been on the pedestal, like telling everybody recently about not making business goals just about money. Like it sounds
Mm,
contradictory, right? Like you in business to make money. Yes, that's true. But it's not only just about the money. Like my three businesses before coaching, I literally never thought about money. Like I've said this to you, in our personal
yeah.
conversations. I never ever thought about money. Like I didn't go into business to make money. I went into business to have fun and to like enjoy my day to day. And I like ticked that off. And yes, there was money pressure from time to time and money stress, but that just comes with the territory of being in business. And I made good money in those businesses, and I never ever was like, yes, I've hit like a $10,000 week, or I never did that. Like that wasn't the celebration for me. I was like, oh my God, like so many people are getting these products. They've ordered, like I've got 100 orders on my desk. Like that was the celebration for me. Like people loved the stuff and I was making this stuff and like giving them this stuff. And that was what it made my day worth getting up for and going to work for. Because, back then there was a lot of reasons why I shouldn't have done that. I was, working a job, had three little children, and was also running businesses that required a lot of after hours work. And, and I think back on that time, I'm like, wow, like I might have been a little bit crazy back then, but I did it because I loved it. I wanted my life to be filled with things that I loved, and that was fun. That was fun for me. So in business, if all you're thinking about is the money, again, like why? Like don't just think about that. Why did you start business? What are you helping people with in your coaching business right now that is worth waking up for without the money pressure?
Oh, absolutely. I was having this conversation with a client recently, actually, and it was really interesting to hear how prior to us working together, because it's quite a new engagement, I asked her to describe to me, like, what is her business? Like, what is her lived experience of her being in her business? And the
Yeah.
truth was, it was reduced down to thinking about what to create and then kind of spending too long in other people's containers, watching what other people were doing, scrolling, seeing all of this other stuff. And because most of her feed is other coaches and other business mentors, the conversation is just centered around money. It's centered around what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing in your business. And it becomes the business, and yet nothing's happening in the business because you're not actually in the business at all. You're plugged into everywhere else but your own mission and vision, your own values,
Yeah.
your own clients, your own transformation. And when she had that realization, and look, I've gone through cycles of this too, it's a massive reminder that we've just disconnected and that we need to come back to the things we want to do, the things that light us up, our goals. And I'm now seeing so much value in when you have a clearly defined goal and you know what that finish line is. It's going to be so much easier inherently to be focused on that than being in everyone else's business. You're actually in your own,
Yeah.
and your business is your business, and then
Yes.
your personal goals. That's like, yeah, that's brought in so
Yeah,
much clarity. I hope
absolutely.
I've explained that well.
Absolutely. And thinking back on those 3 businesses that I had prior to coaching, social media wasn't as big back then either. So
Right. Yeah.
I was just doing what I thought was right at the time for me, and there was no like didn't have one business mentor back then. Yet I look back on that time, I'm like, I was the most successful back then because I was relying on my own brain, my own
Right.
desire to show up, and my own joy to like guide me to where I wanted to go, and not listening to the gazillion people online that have a way to tell you that you should be doing it this way. That's why I'm really proud of the Finishers Club, because in here I do not tell you how to do things. I'm like, I guide you how to set a goal, and then I'm like, what do you need to do to get this goal? How do you want to feel? There is no like strategies of do it this way, do it that way. It's like, no, like you've got to figure this out for yourself. I know I've stopped following so many people. I am very particular now who I follow. There's only a few people in my inbox that I get, and I value their information. And like even my coach, like Brooke Castillo, who that's how I got into coaching, was through her. And I love her work. Like I'm in her weekly container at the moment, the weekly. And so I listen to that every Thursday. You know, I've got my scorecard of knowing I've got my 52 boxes that I need to tick to make sure I've, done the work. And I listen to her every week, but I'm also at the point where I'm discerning enough to know what works for me and what doesn't. Like she is all about big goals. She's like, if you haven't got a big goal, you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, I love her to death. Like I think how she coaches is so fantastic, and I disagree with her on that one. I'm like, and that's totally okay because that doesn't work for me. So that's what people need to do. They need to be really discerning about who they have on their Instagram feed and in their inboxes and what containers they're in, because I've lived this experience. When I moved to the Gold Coast, I did all the things because I was from a small town and that had nothing. I moved to the Gold Coast and did all the things, but it was all in all these containers, and it was like having the time of my life to start with, but it totally confused me. And I was like, now I'm totally confused and I lost
Yeah.
my way. And since like doing a bit of an audit on my own life, it's like, okay, that's right. I know who I like, what aligns with me, like personally. And I'm not going to do all the ways that people say I should do things because I want to do it the way that I want to do things. And yeah, life has gotten a lot calmer these last 12 months for sure because of that.
You have just said something that's giving me a bit of context that I haven't fully realized until this moment. But something I've observed in Australia compared to the culture in England with the personal development industry is that in Australia, it is very, especially the cities like Goldie, Sunshine Coast, Sydney, and the major cities, there is so much that happens in person, and there are so many in-person communities of a really, really large scale. And even though you can find some really large communities in the UK, I don't know if it's because the weather's shit, but we're just not as big on in-person meeting. And when there is an event that's in person, it's more like a one-off event or a conference, but that's it. And I can totally imagine, similar to how I was describing being in everyone else's business with social media and being like just online more of the time than you are focusing on your own goals and your own business. I'm wondering if there's more of a culture in Australia. So I've met so many Australian coaches who say to me that they've been to all the events, they've been to all the networking, and they've been to all the community things. And as important as that is for connection, if you're overdoing it at the expense of focusing on your goals, your dreams, your business, whatever, then you're creating the same thing, is it?
So I totally agree with you. In Australia, there is a different culture around this. Even just coming from coaching, like I did a lot of the coaching stuff that was American based, like the US based, and then coming to the Gold Coast. Yeah, it works for some people, but a lot of it is focused on the inner healing stuff. And you said this before, it's like you don't need to do that forever. Like, there's always a piece that you're always like looking internally, going, okay, where is that not aligned with how I want to be and all that sort of stuff. But you don't have to make it like a full thing. And I do believe a lot of the containers on the Gold Coast, particularly where I've lived, and I've been to plenty, are very much focused on that. And I'll be totally transparent right now, is that a lot of those things gave me the ick about the coaching industry, honestly. And that's when you have to take a step back and be like, okay, what does this look like for me? Like, is this helpful for me right now? And your body will tell you if it is right or not. And you have to then, okay, take a check of yourself, like, okay, what do I actually need? And what do I need to focus on in my business? Because, if you're spending all that time doing the inner work and the healing of yourself and not actually doing the work that requires your business to grow, then it's not going to grow. It's not going to move. And so, you have
Agreed.
to be very discerning about what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I say this all, those of you who are regular listeners to the Corporate to Coach podcast will know I say this all the time. Agreed. It is, there's absolutely a place for the personal development work and the inner healing. But at some point in your business, the best healing you can do is go out there, take the action, and make yourself proud. Show yourself that you can do this, because I've heard it. I used to say this. I used to be like, I know I'm capable of so much more. I know I can do this. There's a greatness within me, or I know that it's within reach. Like, there is a point. So I remember I went through this phase, and sometimes my thoughts like to try and tell me otherwise, but I went through this phase of like, what is it that they have that I don't? Like, am I missing something? Like, genuinely, like, I'm okay if I am, but like, what is it that they have that I don't? And then at some stage, you've just got to recognize they're just taking the actions, and they're feeling all the ickiness and all the discomfort, and they're going through all the failures, and they're coming through it, and they're taking the action. And sometimes you need to make sure that you've got the support, the structure. Join the Finishers Club. You've got to have the frameworks around you to support you and to build that resilience and build that I will keep going without betraying myself, without burning out, without the overwhelm. And it will, but it isn't going to happen just by healing more and then never taking the action in your business. I've seen it too often.
When we talk about taking action, there's a piece that I want everybody to hear. I have this model called the shift method. The H in my shift method is holding the tension. So when you're taking action, especially if it's something that you haven't done before or tried properly, like sometimes we try things and we just like back out of it really quickly. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to run this webinar, say as an example, and you start taking the action and you put out all your promo posts and nothing, is actually happening, you have to hold the tension long enough. And it feels really uncomfortable to hold the tension, just like pulling a rubber band. Like it's like pushing on the limits of that rubber band, right? And that's what your internal nervous system is doing as well in these moments. And so you have to hold the tension long enough. And if you said you're going to do it for a month and you get to the end of the week and you're like, oh, I'm just going to bow out, it's like, no, just lean in a little bit more and just like allow that rubber band tension to be there and to keep taking the action that you said you were going to do to figure out either if it works or it doesn't work. Because even at the end of the month, if it didn't work, it's fine. You've still got so much information about yourself, about the process that's going to work or not work for next time. And you just have to hold the tension long enough to see if it actually, meets the expectation of what you thought it would. And if you bow out too early, you just never get that information. So you have to hold it long enough.
So good. I'm like, there are so many examples that I know that this is true from business. And you've really challenged me on this call to think about personal goals as well. So thank you. Thank you for so many golden nuggets today. It's been so powerful. But talking to you is always powerful. This is why I wanted to invite you to the podcast, because it's just genius.
That's right. We meet every week.
I know. I was like, oh, I love this. So how can people find you? I will make sure the link to the Finishers Club is in the show notes, but how does the Finishers Club work, and how else can people work with you or find you if they want to connect?
Firstly, I have a podcast myself called More Life, Less Drama. And as you can tell by the title, it's about living your life on your terms without all the drama that comes like that we create along the way. So I put out a podcast every week or so. So you can listen into all those. I think I'm up to episode 113, so there's plenty to go back on.
Amazing.
So that's the best way to, if you like the way that I speak and the way that my brain works, that's the best way to get really a lot of value.
More Life, Less Drama is such a good name.
Yeah, it aligns perfectly. And then the Finishers Club, it's something that you can come into at any time, but currently I have a launch going on that closes on the 19th of April, so this Sunday night. And you get some bonuses if you sign up for this round. And the reason why I have done these launches is because every quarter we do 6-week block of live coaching, and you get that 4 times a year because it's a lifetime access course. And so if you come in at this time, you get to start the live coaching, which is on Monday the 20th, and you get to go through the 6 weeks with the small group of finishers that we've got in there that show up for every call. And then you get to achieve your first 6-week goal inside the Finishers Club with a group of people, which is really the best part of the Finishers Club, I think. So that's going on. And otherwise, yeah, I think that's it. You can watch, I did a webinar recently and you can watch the replay of that, and that will help you take some steps forward in your business if that's what you would like to focus on as well. So that's supportive of that. But otherwise, that's it.
For anyone that wants to connect with me, you can check the show notes for the link to my website, Coaching with Pamela, or connect with me under the same name at Instagram. And you can work with me one-to-one at the moment. So just drop me a message on Instagram if you'd like to explore options. Thank you, Prue, for being a guest. I've loved having you. And for everyone else, I will see you in the next episode.